Welcome everybody and thanks for joining us. We are talking about BMW's surprise packet for this year, for me at least. The R12 G/S Enduro spec that you see next to me here. It's about 30 grand on road, and spoiler alert, it's probably my favourite off-road boxer that BMW make. You can really see in this footage that we're about to show you, you can see me forming my opinions as I'm riding the bike. So I had the bike for a couple of weeks beforehand, ridden it around on road quite a lot, and this was my first ride off-road in what was quite slippery conditions. So really quite hard pack base with a little sprinkling of sand on top. So without further ado, let's get to that footage. I think you're going to enjoy this one.
Almost from every angle it is very Paris-Dakar, you know, 80s inspired. Very clean. It's very nice. In this black too. I'm not normally a fan of black in terms of, you know, off-road scrambler bikes, but this is very nice. Very, very nice. Looks good. Looks well proportioned. You can see it's got a bit of grime on it. I've been out already, but yeah, let's talk about some of the key stats just really quickly. So we're talking 109 horsepower, 115 newton meters of torque, 229 kilos. It's got 210 mil of front travel in those beautiful gold forks, and 200 on the rear. There's that shock tucked away up in there. As you can tell, shaft drive, 21-inch front, 18-inch rear, seat height of 860 millimeters. Now it's a fairly thin seat, as you can see there. It's not uncomfortable. You know, I've done commuting on it. My commute, decent commute. It's about 115 k's, and it's okay. That seat is okay. It's not super duper comfortable. It's not as comfortable as some other things, but it's not bad. 15.5 litre tank. It's a bit smaller than it looks. Looks like a big chunky tank. And yeah, like those are the main stats. So it sort of tells you where it's at. It's in the ballpark of, you know, the Triumph Scrambler 12 XE, and probably the Guzzi V85 TT would be your closest competitors to this bike. Certainly from, you know, from power output, but I think the Guzzi absolutely has it on fuel tank range. But yeah, we're going to hit the trails here in a second, and we'll tell you exactly what it's like on the go. So we'll see you shortly. Righto, gloves on. Let's go. Nice exhaust note. Not a bad exhaust note for a boxer at all. I'm going to go the standard loop for my adventure bikes, off-road bikes, scramblers, that sort of stuff, and I'm going to put this in that sort of scrambler class. I don't think it's right to put it in full as a full adventure bike. Doesn't quite have the tank range, and probably not quite the suspension travel that I would really, you know, put it in, yeah, consider it as an adventure bike. But nice bike nonetheless, really nicely balanced. I think first off, let's talk a little bit about the fact that this is the R12. So it's not your 1300cc engine that is in the GS and GSA. This is actually the first time I've had it off-road, so I've done quite a few road Ks. I know what it's like on the road, and it's quite nice actually on the road. But let's a bit lively in the back, a bit stiff. Just popped over that, yeah, little. This is a Sunday today, so there absolutely will be other traffic around. Got to keep my eye on that. It's actually Australian Grand Prix day today. By the time you'll see this, the race will be run and done. It's morning, so I'll just say, gee, what a race! And hopefully it is this afternoon. But back to this one. It's the R12, not the R1300, so instead of getting 145 horsepower that you get in the big R1300 GS, you're talking close enough to 110, 115 newton meters of torque. So power wise, really it's closer to, you know, your mid-weight bikes, your 900s, you know, your Tigers, your 890s, Desert X's, that sort of stuff. Gee, the suspension's not bad. That's oh, it's quite dry here. It's a lot drier than I expected. That suspension's pretty good. So, what did I say? 210 mil travel on the front, 200 on the rear, I think it is. It's doing pretty well. It feels pretty lively in that front end. But this is pretty choppy, quite bumpy now. This is really starting to get into its summer worst at the moment, so conditions are not great. Deliberately, it's not bottoming out. That's quite impressive. Let's hit this. Okay, so that did bottom out the rear, but it was not a hard bottom. That was hard bottom. But that was, yeah, that's quite good. As I said, the front feels pretty lively. I reckon if it was mine, I'd consider throwing a firmer steering damper on there. I thought there was a bit of dust on the track. Which is not to say that it's shaking around, but I reckon it could if you were really getting into it. Well, hello, I've got a tree down there. Thank you, sir. Thanks, buddy. Another one here. Oh, this is bloody good fun. I did not expect it to be this good. Okay, interesting. The rear end feels pretty nice in terms of brakes free when you want it to, but how do I describe this? It feels like it's got a little bit less mechanical grip than that chassis in the GS, which oddly enough I actually think has too much mechanical grip to be a nice bike off-road. That is controversial. I know there will be people that will be frothing over that right now. Oh wow, this is far more composed through there than I expected it to have for 210 mil travel. That suspension is really quite nice. Launched into that one a bit ugly, but that was me, not the bike. It has quite a tall first gear. I'm in first. I would normally be in second through there. Let's go second. Lugs really nicely off the bottom. We're talking 115 newton meters of torque, so there's plenty of torque. Peak torque is around 6,000 RPM, which is a couple of thousand higher. See, I'm smashing into that stuff and it's soaking it up pretty well. Yeah, so peak torque arrives a couple of thousand RPM higher than your Scrambler, which is super strong off the bottom. I'm not sure that's a bad thing necessarily. It means your bottom end is probably a little bit easier to control for folks who aren't, you know, who want something a bit easier. Gee, I'm very impressed with this so far. Very impressed. Surprised. Surprised at how composed it is on that stuff. Love that view. What a beautiful view. Probably should concentrate on my lines. A bit ruddy through there. Starting to chop up. We've got half decent tyres on, so it should be okay. Through this sandy section, I'll take a different line today. Go out wide. It's eating that up. Second. And the first for this ugly bit. Yeah, the rear is, I think, more prone to break free than on the GS 1300, but I don't mind that. It's easier to steer it with the rear. Okay, that bottomed out on the rear. Wasn't a harsh bottom out though. It just let me know that was it. That's all it had. I am super impressed with this. What a lovely bike. I need to talk a little bit about the motor and gearbox a bit more, because I've been critical of the R12 fueling and gearbox in the past on some of the other models, because they've been a bit disconnected, a bit NQR. Now I'm told that all of the R12s have different maps, including this. And I reckon they've nailed it. The fueling feels really good on this, and the gear shift, although we're not giving it too much work through here, it's mainly first and second, but the gear shift is bloody nice too. So this is easily my favourite R12 by a mile. They've finally absolutely nailed it in terms of map and fueling. Gee, it's windy today, and I'm hot. I'm puffing. There you go. That tells you a little bit. Tells you how confident I am to punt this along. It also tells you that I'm probably a bit unfit now. Where? Here. There we go. That's me. Up into second. Over that one. Beautiful. That definitely found the end of the suspension on the rear. But when it does, it's very soft. Like it doesn't rebound back and get ugly when you do find the end of the suspension. I felt the front ABS kicking in. We should talk about that. So Enduro Pro, as with most BMW models, allows you to turn TC off and ABS off. However, ABS is only off on the rear. Still got ABS on the front, which will annoy some people, but not me, because that's how I like to run it. I don't know why you'd actually want to be locking up your front. That ain't me. So I'm very happy. If I go here, and then here, across there, he'll be OT. So I'm very happy to have ABS still on the front, turned off on the rear. That's my preference.
I want to talk a little bit more about the ABS on this particular bike because it's probably not the best off-road ABS setup on that front that I've ever ridden. I would love it if the front was actually able to be turned off, which is not my normal go-to. But I did find out, yeah, a little bit later on another ride, that caught me out actually, the ABS. So, you know, it will grab, release, but that release is quite lengthy in this case. So personally on this one, as opposed to what I just said in the footage, I would actually really like it if that front ABS could be turned off as well, so you can modulate that front a little bit more if you're capable and wanting to do that. I also want to talk a little bit more about the traction control setup on this bike. So by default, Enduro Pro has a traction control setup in there. It's not adjustable. You can either have it or turn it off. And I would really like it if this was able to be dialed up and down just a little bit like it can on the full GS. Somewhere in between the Enduro Pro setup and off altogether would be terrific. If that could be an update that would be coming in one of the coming versions of this bike, I think that would really complete it quite well.
I'm super impressed by this bike. I got to tell you, very, very impressed. Yeah, especially with the way the suspension just seems to gobble everything up. Oh, this is a bit more channeled out than last time I was down here. Crikey. Thanks, four-wheel drivers. And I'm impressed with the way the suspension, for 210mm of travel, it's behaving like it's got more travel than that. I can't quite tell which end is doing it better, because both ends are really quite nice. Ooh, a bit of a front tuck. Both ends are really quite nice. Okay. What are the things that I don't like about it? Not many. First gear is quite tall, but in truth, unless you're doing single track stuff or really snotty stuff, which clearly we're not today, like we're just rolling through this nicely, like unless you're doing rocky stuff, tricky stuff, single track stuff, picking your way up a nasty hill, which arguably you probably shouldn't be doing on a 230 kilo bike, I think your first gear is okay. It's just a bit taller than you might expect. It's probably somewhere between, you know, adventure bike gearing and sort of road gearing, which, when you think about the fact that it's actually kind of more a scrambler than an adventure bike, probably makes sense, right? So yeah, I don't think that's an issue. It's just something to be aware of. There is one thing that I don't like about the bike, and it is a minor thing. Gee, it's drying out here really quickly. And it doesn't have a fuel gauge. Now, call me old-fashioned, but when did that become acceptable? Fuel gauges are a must on motorcycles, please, manufacturers. Oh man, that's pretty rocky and loose through there, and that did not feel out of shape at all. It felt pretty composed. Yeah, no fuel gauge. What's with that? Another little tuck there. Which means that on my commute, when I've got 50 kilometers between fuel servos and you can't tell how much fuel you've got, that's less than ideal. That's suboptimal. So please, manufacturers, make dashes great again. Bring back the fuel gauge. Has this been graded? I think it has. Oh, she's a bit loose on the top. Very loose. It's not nearly as nice as last time I was down here. Opa! Oh, sideways. I don't know if you saw the shadow. The rear end kicked out on the lip there and went left about 30 centimetres in line with the front. Very dry here. Jeez, I tell you what, I'm bloody impressed. This is easily my favourite R12 engine BMW, easily, by a mile. Like all the other R12s, they just didn't seem to, the throttle didn't seem to feel as nice. They didn't seem to have a gearbox that really wanted to be happy all the time, and this one feels sorted. So if you're an owner of one of the other R12s and like me you weren't super delighted with the map or the shift, I'd be asking your BMW dealer if you can put the map and the whatever they've done to the gearbox, which I'm assuming is just electronics, you know, shift points and fueling and blah 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 blah. I'd be asking your BMW dealer to put the map from this, because it's great. And I reckon for people who are just out for a weekend blast that don't need a big fuel range, oh nice, gee, it's well balanced. Yeah, if you don't need a big fuel range, I reckon this is better than the 1300 GS. Now that will be super controversial, but I reckon slightly less chassis grip just makes for a more entertaining ride. But that was super fun. My poor little camera there, I don't know how long ago that folded over, but you've probably been looking at my crutch for the last few kilometres. What an interesting shot that'll be. But gee, I really like this. I'm thinking comparing it to the big 1300 GS and the 900 GS Rally. Which would I pick? Previously I would have said the 900, which also has quite a short fuel range and is only about 10 kilos lighter than this. It's absolutely more capable off-road, but I reckon I'd probably choose this. I reckon this feels more fun. So let's go up here, normal spot, do a skid, get up on top of the hill, we'll do another little walk around. Gee, it's windy. I hope that wind noise is not too bad. But there you go. BMW R12 GS, I think, is my favourite BMW adventure bike. I think I'd buy that over the big 1300 GS and just plan my way around fuel stops. So obviously you're not going to be doing big miles, and it might get windy here. You know, you're not going to be doing big miles when you've only got 15 litre tank, so you're going to need to plan that out, carry some fuel if that's what you want to do. But what a ripper of a bike. Looks so cool. I love the look. It's happy on the highway. It's really happy doing this stuff. And that whole aesthetic is beautiful. They've eliminated the niggles that annoyed me with the other R12 engines in terms of fueling a gearbox. I think they've got this one right. I think they've absolutely nailed it. Well done, BMW. This could well be my favourite BMW now. Ooh, that's a big call. Is it more Goodera than the M1000? Oh man, it's fun. When was the last time I said a BMW was an off-road BMW was fun? Like capable, yes. Fun? Well, this is. It's got character, it's got style. Love it. Love it. Super surprised. And of course that lower travel height, it has quite, I think it's got 250mm of ground clearance. It's got heaps of ground clearance, but the seat height's nice and low. I want to say 860 from memory. I'll correct that in the video if it was wrong, but very, very low. Super easy to throw your leg over. Much easier than, you know, an 890 AR. Some of those are getting up over 900. Oh yeah, that's super easy to ride. Gee, they've done well here. They have done well here. That's blown me away. That has very, very much surprised me in terms of capability. Wow. Well, I'm going to open up some vents because I'm hot and sweaty, and I'm going to go do some more of this because what a cracking ride. I'm going to do one more fang up Fethel. I'm going to do one more fang up Cecil, just because that's one of my favourite stretches, and I want to see what it's like with the TC turned off, charging up there. So we'll see in a bit.
And lastly, the charge back up Cecil. Hopefully you can pay attention and really listen into the exhaust note on this particular little section. So you can really hear it sliding around quite a lot, and sort of you can hear that back end letting go and then getting traction again. But notice also that the revs aren't really spiking up and down, so it's really quite tractable. That throttle is really good in terms of feeling. I had really good fun up this section. I hope you enjoy it too.
Okay, let's do this. TC's off. Yeah, that rear is definitely a little more. It's obviously lighter than. It's lighter than on the big GS. Will break free, especially over the top of a bump. Don't fall now, thank you. Keep it clean. Gotta wash it this afternoon anyway, so I probably could have charged through there, but never mind. Third. Ooh, big hit, but it took it well. Gee, it's very impressive. As I said, for 210 mil of travel. We're slipping and sliding around here quite a lot. That back end is just trying to find traction. But the throttle's nice. You can modulate it really nicely. I don't know if you can hear it just sliding around, but very progressive. Gee, that front end is good. I'm continually surprised. Like this is slippery and there's plenty of stutter bumps and oh, so much fun. Wowee. Well, to the BMW Motorrad boys, thumbs up. What a cracking fun little bike. This is easily your best R12. Easily. Super fun. It's capable, it's not overpowered. It's not intimidating, it's encouraging to ride, it's easy to ride, it's accessible, it looks awesome. This is my new favourite off-road BMW. Comfortably, well done. That is 2 new favourite BMW models that I've found in a week. Woohoo! I am in danger of becoming a fanboy. Nice work, boys. How good are motorbikes?